All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we are going to begin with our misdemeanor criminal calendar. This is called the Expedited Accusation Calendar. It is a list of misdemeanor cases with the State Court of Fulton County in which individuals were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Soon thereafter, the cases were formally accused by the prosecutor, who is the Solicitor General's Office of Fulton County. Hence, this would be the defendant's initial appearance with a judicial officer. When I call your case, I will let you know what is your accusation number, what are the charges brought against you, and to appoint counsel, an attorney to represent you. Some of you may also receive a bond if one has not been previously set, or you may seek a modification of the bond. With respect to the bond, in order to be secured a release from the Fulton County Jail and to address your court upon address your case while out on bond, some of you may qualify for what we call a signature bond. And that is a signature bond that can be issued either directly through the jail or through pretrial services. If you are provided with a signature bond, you will be released, but you will need to comply with certain conditions, such as staying away from a location or having no contact with the victim. For those type of bonds, you would not have to pay, but if you fail to comply with the conditions, your signature bond will be revoked and you'll be back in jail, where then you would have to pay for a bond. Others may qualify for what we call a surety bond or a cash bond. Conditions may also apply to a surety bond or a cash bond. If you receive a surety or cash bond, you will also receive a court date. And today, our next court date is going to be, Ms. Champion, what's our next court date?
The SAP reset date will be January the 18th.
Okay. If you receive a surety or cash bond, then your next court date will be January 18th at 9 a.m. That will also be a virtual proceeding, so anyone attending that court would need a Zoom link. All right. If you are a defendant charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts or circumstances of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. For those of you who are not in jail and who are joining us via Zoom, please remember that this is still an actual courtroom. So I expect you to behave as if you are in an actual courtroom. You are not supposed to be driving. You're not to be eating, drinking, smoking, or lying in bed. You are definitely not supposed to be wearing a hat and walking around. So if you are doing that, please stop your video until you find yourself a position where you can be seated and appear appropriately in court. Right. Courtroom 2, who do we have?
We can start with ACDC.
All right, that'll be fine. And ACDC, who do we have there?
Petition number 7, Matthews.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and who's my prosecutor today? Is it Miss
It's me and Mr. Peter Thomas. I believe this is Mr. Thomas's case, though.
All right. Let's change that name Grim Reaper 2 to Anonymous. That's not an appropriate name. I'm not sure. It's not Halloween yet either. Okay, let's go ahead with Miss Tankaria Matthews, accused of simple battery family violence in case number 24 CR 95D. Ms. Matthews, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Keith Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howell?
8 cycles. 2023, possession of a schedule 3, 4, or 5. Tampering with evidence, possession of marijuana, and drug-related objects. It's 23 CP 218407. 2021 battery out of Clayton County. 2018 failure to appear, probation violation, and a 2016 assault out of the Army.
A brief facts of the case is that on the first, January the 3rd, 2024, the officer responded to 147 Lakeview Place, apartment 7 in East Point, 30344 in Fulton County in reference to a fight call. The officer spoke with the victim, who stated that his girlfriend, the defendant, he asked his girlfriend to leave the home due to a verbal altercation. The victim stated that during the verbal altercation, the defendant picked up a broom and threw it at him. She also struck him in the back with the broom. The defendant herself admitted to throwing the broom at the victim because he was talking too much. The victim stated that they do currently live together at that location. Our office has been able to get in contact with the victim, who stated that he and the defendant are in a relationship. They live together at the incident location. They share no children. He confirmed the events in the warrant. He stated that the defendant did hit him in the back, but not in the back of the head. I do believe, I don't think he's on today, but if we can sound for him in accordance with Marcy's law, that'd be greatly appreciated. The recommendation from the state is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, and the completion of a family violence intervention program.
All right. Charles Stiles, if you are present, you can unmute and start your video, otherwise we'll move on. Charles Stiles. Okay. Mr. Cook, any objection with the stay away and no contact?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. The bond is going to be set at $2,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services. She is to have no contact with Charles Stiles, to stay 200 yards away from him and not communicate with him in any way, form, or manner. Unfortunately, she won't be able to stay at 147 Lakeview Place in apartment 7 in East Point. She is permitted a one-time visit with a police officer to visit the place and go retrieve her personal belongings. Within 30 days of being released, she must then update the court with her new mailing address. While out on a signature bond, she will attend and complete a one-day anger awareness program with pretrial services. And Miss Matthews, you've already got an open case in Superior Court, but now you've got a signature bond through pretrial. If you get arrested again for anything else, if you violate the no contact provision or the stay away provision, or if you do not report to pretrial every month, your signature bond will be revoked and you'll be back in jail where you would have to pay for your bond the next time. No illegal drugs, no alcohol consumption, and you're not to possess any firearms and no weapons. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Judge, how much was that for?
2,000 signature bond through pretrial. Courtroom 2, who do we have?
We have position number 6.
This is Cassandra Lang, and her case number is 24CR94A. Ms. Lang has one count of cruelty to animals, criminal trespass, and simple battery. These 3 charges have been accused, and they stem from a January 4th, 2024 incident. Ms. Lang, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be. All right, Fatina Munford, you may mute your screen. Thank you. All right, let's see. Any priors with regards to Cassandra Lang?
No, a resident of Tennessee, though.
Okay. Mr. Walker?
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 4979 Old National Highway in College Park. Their location is the Super 8 Motel. They met with the victim, Mr. Alexander Byron. He reported that him and his girlfriend were residing at that extended stay motel, if you will. She went through his phone, became upset. Apparently, she busted out his car window. She also physically attacked him and then threw their dog over the balcony at the Motel 8. Which is very disturbing. We are obviously asking for a no contact and a stay away. For the amounts in bond to the cruelty to animals, we're asking for $1,000 surety. To the criminal trespass, which is her busting out his window, we're asking for a $500 surety. And to the count of simple battery family violence, we're asking for another $1,500 surety bond. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. Of course, we would ask that she's not allowed to possess any animals while out on bond. And of course, we would sound for the victim.
Mr. Bryson, are you the alleged victim in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
If you'd like to contribute anything to the proceeding, you would have to be placed under oath.
Yes, I would.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
What would you like to tell us?
The one, it was nothing to do with going through my phone. We were just having a basic disagreement that just escalated. So it wasn't about anything going through my phone. And then secondly, as far as the assault and stuff, it was just more of me just really just trying to hold her from stopping to break things. So it wasn't really necessarily of her like attacking me, trying to hurt me. It was just more of me trying to refrain her from just breaking things. So I just wanted to clear that up. And then I wasn't trying. She called the police. She's the one who originally called the police in order to retrieve her cell phone that I was holding, and I wasn't giving back. So I never called the police on her. She actually called the police to assist with getting back her items.
What's the condition of the car?
One more time.
What is the condition of your car?
My car is drivable. I just have to get one of the windows replaced.
Why?
She did break the window.
The other charge is cruelty to animals. Any comment?
So where we were staying is a ledge, where she was pulling out all my stuff out of the room, because the room was under her name, and she had the dog on the ledge with the cage, and with everything that's happening to my dog just fell over, so she didn't like toss him or anything like that. He was just on the ledge. And because of him being nervous and stuff like that, he tumbled over. So it wasn't really, she didn't really like toss my dog over. She put my dog there. While she was throwing up my stuff, he was getting rattled, and then he fell over that ledge.
All right. Thank you. Mr.
Your Honor,
Cook? Let's hang on. Mr. Bryson, please mute. Okay. Mr. Cook?
yes, may I inquire of the witness?
Okay. Mr. Bryson, please unmute.
Yes, sir.
Yes, hi, Mr. Bryson. Thank you for being here. We've got some feedback here, but so it's your testimony that she didn't deliberately throw the dog over the ledge.
No, she didn't delivery though.
And the dog was in a cage.
Yeah.
Did the dog suffer any serious injuries, or
No, he's fine.
is this the dog to your left?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. No further questions.
All right. Mr. Cook, what is your response to the bond recommendation by the state?
Your Honor, given the lack of any record prior to this, she would dispute some of the details in the warrant. She has no problem with the stay away or no further contact with the victim. But given her financial situation, and again, her total lack of a record from what I understand previously, we would certainly like a signature only bond in this case.
I'm a little concerned that the alleged victim's statements seem to be in direct contradiction to the alleged statements that the defendant made to the police officer who swore out the warrant. So, and also with her lack of community ties with the state of Georgia, the bond is set at $1,500 surety. It's a $500 surety bond on each count. She's to have no violent contact with Mr. Alexander Bryson. She may return to the extended stay motel if the motel allows her to come back there. I don't know if the motels, typically when there are criminal incidences, they require the alleged occupants to vacate.
Your Honor. The extended stay needed us to leave. So I had to leave. I do have all her belongings. Everything is packed up for her.
Okay,
They wouldn't allow us to keep it there.
all right. In that case, please mute your screen. The bond still remains at $1,500 surety bond. Mr. Bryson, please mute. Please mute. The bond still remains at $1,500 surety bond. She's to have no violent contact with Alexander Bryson, which means that she can have contact with Mr. Bryson, but there cannot be any physical or verbal altercations involved that would get the police in place again. But you are to stay away from the extended stay motel at 4929 Old National Highway, based also on the same confirmation by Mr. Bryson. Thank you. Your next court date is going to be January 18th. Next case, please.
We have position number 1.
We have Miss Brittany Bowe, who's accused of escape from custody or confinement from the Grady Hospital on December 13th, 2023. Miss Bowe, your case number is 24CR89C, and you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Miss Atay. Any prize, Mr. Hollow?
6 total. 2023 battery DV out of the cab. Open case out of Clayton, forgery in the 3rd degree. But just got put on battery DV on probation. Out of the cab on the 3rd of this month. Cobb County, I got interference with government property, simple battery against police, obstruction, terroristic threats.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. And I also have a 2019 obstruction and an escape charge. That's in a conviction.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but she cut me off.
I'm sorry, but I have enough to hear. Thank you.
All right. So in this case, she was in custody of law enforcement getting medical treatment at Grady Memorial Hospital. From my understanding, the officer went to the restroom at that time. She was able to escape custody. However, she was detained and located at the Georgia State MARTA station. Obviously, she's charged with escape, and because she has a previous escape charge in 2019, there is some concern. The state is asking for a $2,500 surety, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Ms. Atay?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 23 years old. She is the mother of 4 minor children, and she's currently 6 months pregnant. She is permanently disabled due to stage 4 congestive heart failure. As you can see, she's in a wheelchair. Her condition is life-threatening. Of course, this is a high-risk pregnancy. She's the sole caretaker of those 4 children. She does deny the allegations in the warrant and states that she was discharged from Grady. She has lived in Georgia all her life. She has the 4 young children to care for. She is, has this high-risk pregnancy, is permanently disabled. She can't afford a bond. I would say she has strong ties to the community. She is recommended a UJR level 3. So I would ask for a signature bond through pretrial services, level 3. With
$1,000 surety bond. Next court date is January 18th. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and weapons. Next case, please.
Next we have position number 3. Mr. Davis, I'm sorry, Jimmy Davis.
Okay. Jimmy Davis is accused of simple battery in 24 CR 91C from January 4th, 2024. Mr. Davis, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Atay. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
27 total, at least 4 FTAs in the history. Last arrest was 2023 trespass out of the cab. Got an open simple battery in the cab, shoplifting obstruction, another obstruction, theft by taking, disorderly conduct, a simple battery against a person 65 years or older. He got a lot of open cases in the cab county.
All right. Is a simple battery against an elder open as well?
It appears, yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor. The law enforcement officer was dispatched to a fight call. When they made contact with the victim, Ms. Fatina Watt. She advised that her and the defendant, who was her boyfriend, were engaged in a domestic disagreement, at which time it became physical. He did strike her with a closed fist. The state is asking for a $2,500 surety, no contact with the victim, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. And I'm not sure if the victim is on the line, but we would sound for the victim, Ms. Fatina Watts.
I thought I saw her.
I saw her as well too.
Miss Watts, if you are still on the Zoom.
I'm here.
You need to start your video if you want to contribute to the proceedings, otherwise you can remain silent.
I need to do what now?
You need to start your video if you want to say something, otherwise you can remain silent. Do you have something to
Hello?
say?
Oh, God. I'm here.
Do you have something to say?
No, it just I don't want to be with him anymore.
Okay,
But like I said, I'm
that's
currently
good.
pregnant by Mr. Davis.
That's good. Thank you very much. You can mute your screen.
All right.
Atay?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 36 years old. He is homeless. I understand that he has some history, and the FTAs, I would say that that's because he doesn't have an address. He can't receive notice. He does have 2 children and one on the way with the complaining witness. He can't afford a bond. I would ask for a signature bond through pretrial services. And nothing further, Your Honor.
His bond is set at $2,000. It is a surety bond. Next court date is January 18th. No further contact with Fatina Watts. He's to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner, including phone calls, computers, social media, or through a third party. He's also to stay away from whatever location she happens to be living at. He can have no contact with the children that he shares with Miss Watts if he wants to have any kind of custody or visitation with the children that he shares with Fatina Watts. He needs to file a separate legitimation action with the Superior Court and get a court order to establish joint custody and visitation. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
Okay, next we have position number 12, Mr. Ware.
Your Honor, in the interest of time, I do believe Mr. Ware is a co-defendant with Mr.
Sanders?
No, Roberts, sorry.
Roberts? Okay.
Mhm.
Deputy Norris, is Addison Roberts in the courtroom too?
Yeah.
He can stand behind Mr. Ware. Miss McLeod, I thought I saw her on the screen. Who does
Good
she?
afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Who do you represent?
I represent Benjamin Ware, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. These 2 gentlemen have accused cases against both of them. Addison Roberts is accused in 24 CR 100E of misdemeanor possession of marijuana, operating a vehicle on the wrong way on a one-way street, and willful obstruction of an officer from January 4th, 2024. And Mr. Addison Roberts, your attorney, will be Mr. Keith Cook. Would that be correct?
No, Your Honor, that's not correct.
Okay. Is it Miss Atay or Miss Kim?
Are we doing Mr. Ware, the last one?
We're doing Addison Roberts and Mr. Ware.
Oh, together? Okay. Roberts is my client, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Roberts, your attorney is Miss J. Kim. And you've also been advised of your right to remain silent. Mr. Ware, you've also been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Miss Maureen McLeod. And your accusation number is 24CR101E. Operating a vehicle on the wrong way on a one-way street and willful obstruction of an officer, same incident date. Mr. Howard, any priors on Mr. Roberts?
This is a second adult arrest. He was arrested last year, trespass, financial transaction card theft out of Cobb County. Appears to be open.
And what about Mr. Ware?
His first adult arrest. He's 17 years old.
Thank you.
We have, I may be wrong, but we have that Mr. Ware also has a 2022 theft by receiving. Oh, that might be juvenile. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It didn't say it on the GCIC. My apologies.
That's all right.
The facts of the case is that basically on January 4th, 2024, the officer responded to 190 Marietta Northwest Atlanta in Fulton County. Multiple officers were involved in regards to car break-ins reported in progress. Officers advised that the calls had come in for the car break-ins that were in progress over the dispatch radio at the location of Spring Street Northwest and 3rd Street Northwest. The officer actually observed what they believed to be the males fitting the descriptions exiting the parking garage at the location. 2 black males wearing gray and black hoodies on electronic scooters. They followed behind the males in a Midtown blue vehicle. Another officer observed them riding the scooters on the sidewalk in the pedestrian crossways, including traveling the wrong way down the one-way road against approaching traffic. The officer activated his emergency lights and sirens on his motorized tricycle. At the time, the males refused to stop operating the scooters on Ted Turner Drive Northwest. Officers eventually detained both of them. When they detained Mr. Roberts, search incident to arrest located 1.5 grams of marijuana in his coin pocket. The recommendation from the state, Your Honor, is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Because they are similarly situated in terms of history, that is the recommendation for both, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Kim, any objection to the signature bond?
No objection, Your Honor.
And Ms. McLeod, any objection to the signature bond?
No objection, Your Honor.
Ms.
My
McLeod,
client's mother is on the Zoom, Your Honor, because he's only 17 years old. He's a senior in high school.
which
I believe she may be on the Benjamin Ware. I'm not sure.
right, is the mother of Benjamin I guess, yeah, Benjamin Ware. I don't know. If
Her name is Shamika Burns. Your
I'm on
Honor.
here.
all right, could you start your video, please? Okay, and what about Miss Kim? Who is the parent of Mr. Roberts?
Miss Denise Roberts is willing to co-sign for Mr. Roberts.
And who is Denise Roberts?
She is the auntie, the legal guardian here in Georgia.
Okay, and he resides with her?
Yes.
Okay, all right. For Mr. Addison Roberts, on the marijuana is going to be 500. Wrong way on a one-way street is 1,000, and willful obstruction is 1,000. That's a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial services. We will need Denise Roberts to co-sign the bond. And then for Mr. Ware, it's a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services, and has to be co-signed by I'm sorry, what was his mom's name again?
Shamika Burns.
Shamika, last name?
Burns.
Spell it?
Burns.
Burns. Okay. Now, Mr. Roberts and Mr. Ware, you will be granted a signature bond, and it needs to be co-signed by your respective adult relatives. If your adult relatives do not co-sign the bonds, then you will remain in jail until the bonds are co-signed. So it's entirely up to your adult relatives how long they want to keep you in jail at this juncture. Also, in the meantime, after today, you are both to stay away from each other. Mr. Ware and Mr. Roberts, you're both not to be together. You're not to be living together. You're not to be walking together or anything to that effect. If you have classes together, you're both to stay, to treat each other like strangers. All right. You are both also going to be subject to a curfew. You are to be home by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you cannot leave until 7 o'clock in the morning, 5 to 7. All right, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. You'll be subject to random screens for marijuana or any other illegal drugs and or alcohol. If you fail a screen, your signature bond will be revoked and you will be back in jail where your parents or your relatives will have to pay for your bond. Yes, Mr. Ware?
If my mama won't be able to sign my signature bond, can my dad sign it?
No, I've already got your mother down for it.
Oh, I'm his father and I'm here right now. And his
Now
mom's out
you,
of town.
I can't see you, so I can't address you.
Yeah, I'm his
I'm
father.
sorry,
I'm-
Mr. Ware, stop. Put your phone
Sister,
device,
and I'm his
push your phone
sister. I'm
device.
here with him now.
Be
Yes,
quiet, be quiet. I'm addressing Benjamin Ware. Mr. Ware, step back from your phone. Put your phone, lower your phone device. I want to see what you're wearing.
I'm a truck driver. I just got home. I'm trying to put a shirt on.
All right, please leave the Zoom. Miss, with the host, please leave the Zoom. I already gave everyone instructions. This is an actual courtroom. You're to be dressed appropriately, okay? Now, somebody else just chimed in. Kia. Kia. Yeah, that person went, okay.
Yes.
What is your name?
Zakia.
And why are you chiming in?
Because I'm his older sister, and his mom and his dad is out of town, and I'm the only one with him.
Who are you talking about? Mr. Ware or Mr. Roberts?
Mr. Ware, Benjamin Ware.
All right, I have a Shamika Burns who's going to co-sign his bond.
But I'm out of town, and
she's not in
As soon as you get back home, you co-sign his. Thank you. Does he live with you? Does he live with you, Miss Burns?
Yes, we all stay in the same house.
Good. Then Shamika Burns will be co-signing his bond.
Your Honor, I believe Mom says that she is out of town at the moment.
As soon as she gets home, she'll co-sign his bond. Thank you.
I don't think she's gonna get home in the next day or two, Your Honor.
No, and he has to go.
Old. So I was wondering if you could let the sister, who is also an adult, sign.
No. I need mom or dad.
Okay, can his dad come back in?
As soon as he's dressed.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you so much.
That concludes these cases. Next case, please.
We have position number 5.
All right.
Mr. Griffin.
William Griffin. William Griffin is accused of battery family violence from August 8th, 2020.
Your Honor, that's going to be a non-pros today.
All right, thank you. Mr. Griffin, given the time frame of the arrest, the case is dismissed and you will be released within 24 hours. Thank you. Next case, please.
I'm sorry. Next, we have position number 9, Mr. Pettis.
All right, Mr. Pettis's case is 24 CR 97Y, accused of battery family violence from August 15th, 2023. Mr. Pettis, your middle name is Dumont, but how do you pronounce your first name?
Isaiah.
Isaias, okay. Mr. Pettis, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms.
It's
Maureen.
me, Your Honor.
Is that Ms. McLeod? Okay.
Yes,
thank
Your Honor. It
Thank
is me.
Mr. Howard, any priors?
6 total. Appears to have open ag assault criminal trespass out of DeKalb County. 2022 battery DV. That one was Nah Pros. I think that was the same victim. 2022 failure to appear out of Kentucky. 2019 theft by receiving, possession of marijuana, and a 2010 giving false name, shoplifting out of Kentucky.
All right.
Your Honor,
Yes,
fact
sir.
of the case is that on August 15, 2023, the officer was dispatched to 3200 Lenox Road, Northeast in Atlanta, Georgia, and Fulton County, Georgia, to an armed dispute call. Upon arrival, the officer made contact with the victim, who stated that he and his boyfriend of 3 years, the defendant who had been living together for the same amount of time, got into a verbal dispute that escalated into a physical dispute. The victim stated that upon his return to the home, they got into a dispute about him cheating. And the parties refusing to delete intimate photos from their phones, and they got into a physical argument as a result of that. The victim advised the defendant picked up a window rod and struck him multiple times to the right and left forearm. The victim advised that he tried to leave the apartment was successful in doing so, but advised that he was then later followed outside by his boyfriend, who tripped him to the ground, repeatedly struck him in the head and onto the concrete. The officer was able to observe visible bruising and blood that was drawn to the front left side of the victim's head. Our office has been able to get in contact with the victim. He confirmed that he and the defendant are in a relationship. They have been living together for various years. They no longer live at the incident location. However, they live at a new location, which is 2515 Northeast Express Apartment Q1 in Atlanta, Georgia, and Fulton County, Georgia. They state that they currently still live together, and I guess they've been doing so since the arrest. I do believe that the victim is on the call today, Your Honor. The recommendation from the state, and just before I give the recommendation, the indicia for the recommendation is the idea that the 2022 battery family violence out of Fulton is in fact the same victim. That victim's name being Deshaun Long. That was actually a case that was first heard by Judge Mincy, to which she gave I believe a $2,500 signature bond, I'm surety bond, and was reduced by Your Honor herself to a $1.5 thousand good bond. The facts in that are eerily similar to this, which is that it's alleged that the defendant hit Mr. Long in the leg with a pole, again causing bleeding and swelling. We are uncertain or unsure at the time who the victim in the ag assault case is. But the recommendation from the state, I mean, just for the protection of the victim and for, various other reasons, is a $5,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident, not from the incident location, but from the residence, and the completion of a family violence intervention program, or at least some form of anger management, because it is clear that there is violence in his history. Nothing further to add at this time, but if we could sound for Mr. Long, that'd be greatly appreciated in accordance with Moses' law.
Deshaun Long. Deshaun Long. I have a gentleman in a red jacket talking to himself.
Hi, how you doing? Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Hey,
Yes.
how you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing well, thank you. And what's your name?
Deshaun Long.
All right. And did you want to add to the proceedings?
Yes, I do. When
Please
that
raise your
incident,
right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Long, I read the accusation. Are you married to the defendant?
We're not married, but we're still together.
Okay, just want to make sure because the accusation has to be corrected. And this alleged incident happened back in August. Are you still living with Mr. Pettis?
Yes, we still live together.
And what is the nature of that relationship today?
We're still together.
Well, I know that. Is it contentious? Do you feel safe with him? Are
I
you
do feel
comfortable
safe,
with
and
him?
I feel safe with him. And when that incident happened, I did not call the police. The complex called the police because they heard us outside arguing. And when the police got there, I told them I did not want to press charges because he didn't physically. I told him I felt like he was going to put his hands on me, but I never told them he hit me. I was not bleeding. They did not see blood. The only thing he did was broke my phone and he replaced my phone. When we fell on the ground, we was playing tug of war with my phone and he cracked my phone and broke it. That's the only thing he did. He didn't hit me with no pole. I didn't have no blood on me. I told the detective, I told the police I didn't want to press charges, and I do feel safe with him. I don't want to seem like I'm a victim survivor because I feel protected around him.
This is your second time with us on this same issue.
That first incident back in 2022, them charges got dropped. He didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing.
I would like to note that the report states that
Yes, I just want, I read the warrant. Now I want to make sure that what I read is what I read. So, Ms. McLeod, anything to add?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened some time ago, approximately 5 or 6 months ago. I have spoken to the alleged victim as well as my client, and they both told me that there was no physical violence and that it was someone else who called the police, and neither of them had called the police. The fact that they continue to live together and there's been nothing between them, Your Honor, and the victim has testified that he is not afraid of my client. I would ask, my client is not currently employed, Your Honor. He did tell me that he's a trained CNA, but he's not working at the moment. So I would ask the court to consider giving him a much lower bond since it seems the court is unlikely to give him a signature bond.
Okay.
So I would ask the court for a much lower bond, say maybe $1,000 good bond.
Understood. Thank you. Mr. Pettis, your bond is going to be set at $25,000. It is going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, and this is going to be a level 3, which means he reports once a week.
And another question.
Mr.
I'm
Long,
sorry.
please be quiet.
I'm sorry.
You are to have no further violent contact with Deshaun Long. Now, what Mr. Long just testified to under oath is so completely different from what he stated in the alleged warrant to the police officer. So it's really going to depend on what the police officer has on his body cam versus what Mr. Long just reported. And hopefully the information is good. But right now, my concern is that you were previously arrested on a battery family violence case. You have an open ag assault case, and the alleged victim has made statements that are so directly in contradiction to alleged statements that he made to the officer at the time of the incident. So your bond is $25,000 because if you violate any of the conditions of the bond, you will be brought back to jail and your outstanding bond will be $25,000. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You are to have no violent contact with Deshaun Long. You can still live with him, but if there's any future physical or verbal altercations where the police get involved again, no questions will be asked. You will be arrested and brought back to jail. And please bring $25,000 with you the next time you're in jail. You will report to pretrial once a week. You are not allowed to drink alcohol, no illegal drugs, and not to possess any guns, any firearms, and no weapons such as a taser or a hunting knife. While you're also out on a signature bond, you will enroll in a domestic violence program. That is a 24-week program, and this is a condition of your bond and not a condition of the disposition of your case. You will enroll in such a program within 30 days of being released. You must show proof to the pretrial officer by the by the third or fourth visit that you have enrolled in such a program. And you will continue to attend those classes until they're completed. This is non-negotiable. Do you understand? Yes, could we unmute courtroom 2, please?
Yes, ma'am. And
What do you want to tell?
I was asking where would I go for pre-trial?
All that information you will receive through the pretrial orientation. Right, your next court date will be sent to you. Don't know what your current address is because we still have your Kentucky address. So within 30 days of being released, you shall come down to the courthouse at 160 Prior Street, and you shall provide your new mailing address in writing to the clerk's office. All right, thank you, Ms. McLeod. Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm just waiting for the court to speak with Mr. Ware.
Okay. All right, thank you. We are concluded with Mr. Pettis. All right, Mr. Benjamin Ware, please unmute. All right, Mr. Ware, do you live with Miss Burns and with your son, Benjamin Ware?
No, I don't live with them.
So why am I allowing you to co-sign the bond?
That's my son,
I
and his
understand
father,
that, but
and
you
I'm
don't live with him.
he's like on weekends he be at my house. It's not like he's permanently in my residence.
All right. I will allow your co-signer to be amended. What's your full name?
It's Benjamin Ware.
Is there a senior, a junior, or anything like that?
No.
Okay. With regards to Benjamin Ware, position 12, the co-signer shall be Dad Benjamin Ware, and he needs to bring a valid picture ID to pretrial to show proof, as well as some evidence of his current residence. It can be a utility bill, it can be a lease, it can be a deed, I don't care. But the address must match the one on his picture ID.
Okay, I just moved into my new house about
There
3
must be a
weeks ago.
utility bill.
Yeah, I got my lease and my bills, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. For the courtroom two, who do we have?
We have position number 8.
Your Honor, that concludes my business before the court. May I be excused?
I have another one with 2 defendants. It was 2 ladies, Callaway Kindness or something like that.
She bonded out. Yes, Ms. Calloway, she posted bond,
Okay,
and Emerson posted bond too, as well.
all right. Oh, in that case, Ms. McLeod, yes, definitely. You are absolutely free to enjoy the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right, courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Position number 8.
Yes, sir. We have Rodriguez Milner, arrested from a traffic matter on January 4th, 2024. And the charges are driving, fleeing, or attempting to elude an officer, reckless driving, and possession and use of a drug-related object. The accusation is 24 CR 96Y. Mr. Milner, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Keith Cook.
7 total. 2023 battery was the last.
Any traffic matters?
Not that I can recall. It's mostly probation or violence.
Okay.
2017 DUI out of Douglas County.
No.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Pierre Thomas, what's the recommendation?
Your Honor, brief facts of the case is that on January 4, 2023, the officer got behind the defendant's vehicle because it had no license plate. Traditionally, those type of vehicles are stolen, and so that was the indicia for the stop. He attempted to conduct a traffic stop, and he activated his blue lights and the sirens. The defendant immediately changed lanes, accelerated the vehicle in an attempt to flee, continued down Roswell Road before going on to 285 westbound. The officer observed the defendant accelerate, weaving in and out of traffic at a high rate of speed with reckless disregard for the safety of others and other drivers. Due to the heavy traffic conditions, the officer made the executive decision to stop following the vehicle. The officer later discovered the defendant had abandoned the vehicle, and the vehicle was actually still in motion. Due to the vehicle being unoccupied and rolling towards traffic on 285 westbound, the officer then had to ram the side of of the pickup truck with his patrol vehicle to keep it from continuing to go down 285 westbound. At some point, the defendant was detained and read his Miranda rights. He agreed to speak with the officers, and when asked why he did not stop because of the blue lights and the sirens were being activated, he stated that he did not stop because he knew his license was suspended and that he knew he had an active warrant. Vehicle inventory search incident to arrest indicated that the defendant was in possession in the vehicle of a manufactured bong, which consisted of a glass pipe taped around a plastic bottle. Your Honor, the recommendation, given the nature of the charges, given the dangers to the community, and given, I thought that there was another driving charge, but I don't see it on my records.
He's got a Cobb County hold, that's about it.
Yeah.
But 3 charges.
The recommendation is actually a $5,500 surety bond. The breakdown would be $2,500 on the fleeing and attempting to elude, a $2,500 on the reckless driving, and a $500 on the drug-related objects. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. No driving, and I think that this would call for some sort of driver safety course to be completed, Your Honor. Nothing further from the state.
Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, we would ask for a signature-only bond at whatever level the court deems appropriate.
And my apologies. The indicia for that is his bond is currently set as 15,000. So we thought the recommendation of 5,500 reduction was reasonable, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Cook, why should I issue a signature bond?
You know, he doesn't have a large income. I realize, you know, the accusations are serious, but they are just simply that, accusations. And we simply believe that he would be a safe bet for a surety bond.
Mr. Howard, do you know what's the Cobb County hold for?
Was that the one with the FTA warrant?
It looks like it might be for that 2023 battery.
That's what
And he was also on probation for possession of meth at the time of this offense. He received, it's the first offender, but he's still on first offender. And he received 3 years of probation. And he actually, I mean, it looks like he got a break because in 2020, he took first offender as well, but that one was actually sealed.
Okay. On the fleeing and attempting to elude is 1,500. On the reckless driving is 1,500, and the possession of drug-related objects 500. Total bond is set at 3,500. That's a surety bond. Mr. Milner, once you make bond, unfortunately, you will not be released. You would need to be picked up by Cobb County to address that outstanding warrant. In either event, you are not permitted to drive unless you have a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration, decal, and license plate for the vehicle that you operate. Thank you. Your next court date is going to be January 18th. Next case, please. I have Zaki Sanders. Is that Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Okay. This is 24 CR 102A. Mr. Zakeith Sanders is accused of battery, family violence, 2 counts of cruelty in the 3rd degree, 1 count of willful obstruction of an officer, and the 5th charge is battery against a female who is pregnant. January 4th, 2024 incident allegedly in Fulton County. Mr. Sanders, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney will be who is Mr. Sanders' attorney? Is that Mr. Cook, Ms. Kim?
It's not mine, Your Honor. I don't.
It is mine, Your Honor.
Right. Your attorney is Ms. J. Kim. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
19 total. History out of Indiana and California. 2019 out of Cali. Assault with a deadly weapon. Threatened crime with intent to terrorize and obstruction. That was conviction. 2019 inflict corporal injury / terroristic threats. 2018 battery. That's it.
Excuse me, Mr.
Your Honor,
Pietro?
brief facts of this case is that on January 4, 2024, the officer responded to the 3164 Crushman Circle Southwest, Atlanta and Fulton County, on a dispute. The officer spoke with the victim. One of the victims in this case is Jaquisha, Jaquuisha Tillman, Tillman, who stated that she was involved with a fight with her live-in boyfriend, who is the defendant. The victim stated that they've been in a relationship for several months and that she was currently 3 months pregnant with twins for the defendant. The victim advised that she was involved in an argument with the defendant because he wanted her to clean the bathtub so he could take a bath. The victim refused and left the bathroom. Shortly thereafter, the defendant began to strike the victim in the face with his hand, busting her lip and causing her a scratch to her head. The defendant fought with the victim in front of her kids, initials being D and M, and second child initials being I and T. The victim stated that she then called 911. The defendant snatched the cell phone out of her hand and left the location. While the officers were leaving the location, they were actually able to catch up with the defendant in an attempt to detain him, but he pulled away and started running. Eventually, they got the situation under control, but while they were trying to put him in the car, the defendant began to kick and fight back. The defendant then started to grab Lieutenant Rogers' leg and refused to let it go. When the officer tried to pry the hands off of his leg, the defendant continued to refuse to do so. Your Honor, our office has not, unfortunately, been able to get in contact with the victim in this case, Ms. Tillman, or one of the victims in this case, Ms. Tillman. And so if we can sound for her in accordance with Marcy's law, that'd be greatly appreciated. But the recommendation from the state did not have the out-of-state history. And so I think I'd leave it to the discretion of the court. The original recommendation was a $4,500 surety bond. That would be $1,000 on the battery, family violence, $500 on the cruelty to children, each count, and $500 on the willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, and $2,000 on the battery against female who is pregnant. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with Ms. Tillman or the two juveniles. Again, those initials are DM and IT. A stay away from that incident location at Crushman Circle Southwest, and the completion of a family violence intervention program. Nothing further to add from the state at this time.
All right. Ms. Jaquisha Tillman, if you want to address the court, you can unmute and start your video. Otherwise, we are moving on.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Sanders is 37 years old. He moved about a year ago from California. And actually, he is residentially challenged. And I believe that that incident location was prepared by Gateway. He denies the allegation, Your Honor, and he's the one actually who was scratched. And Your Honor, he has no objection in terms of no further contact, as long as he can return to his Gateway place where he has a living situation. It seems like he said his lease on the lease, his name is on the lease, and he will be filing for eviction once she is out of the place. I want my client to be able to return home, and he has not been able to get a job from December 2023. So he's been out of job, so he's qualified for public defender's services. Having $4,500 surety bond will be like having no bond at all. So we would like to request for signature on bond. He is recommended for pretrial service level 2. He has no objection to stay away from those minors and Ms. Jaquia Tillman. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sanders, given your criminal record history, given the egregious circumstances of your warrant. Yes, sir.
Ma'am,
Please, Mr. Sanders, you have a right to remain silent. I strongly recommend you to stay silent. You will have a day to prove your innocence.
Mr. Sanders, what your attorney is saying is correct. Anything you say during the course of these proceedings about the circumstances or facts of your case, your statements can be used against you in the prosecution of your incident. And we have prosecutors on the Zoom right now. But if you choose to exercise, if you do not exercise your right to remain silent, then that's entirely up to you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I never did anything to harm her, stating that I told her to clean the bathroom and things like that. I never.
Please do not mention anything about the facts of the case. You have a right another day when you can argue for your innocence, not today.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
As I was saying, given the circumstances of this case, you do not qualify for a signature bond. On the battery matter family violence, your bond is going to be set at 500. On the each count of the cruelty in the third degree, that's going to be set at 500. On the willful obstruction of an officer, that's going to be set at 1,500. And the battery against a female who is pregnant, that's going to be 2,500. Your total bond is going to be 5. It's going to be 5,500. It is a surety bond. You are to have no further contact with Jaquisha Tillman. You are to stay away from 3164 Cushman Circle in Atlanta, Georgia. If you are permitted a one-time visit back to the location with a police officer to retrieve your personal belongings. Within 30 days of being released, you must update the court with your new mailing address. While you are out on this bond, you are to make sure you stay 200 yards away from Miss Tillman and the children that you share with her. If you wish to have contact with any children that you share with her, you must file a legitimation action and get a court order to establish joint custody and visitation. Your next court date is going to be January 18th. Yes, sir?
Ma'am, I never touched her or her children that evening. The officer was beating my hands. Literally, I was grabbing his leg as he was beating my hands. My hands has been swollen.
And Mr. Sanders, let me just tell you one thing. What you are telling me right now are statements made, that could be used against you because you're talking about the circumstances of your case. And then on the other hand, I don't have the alleged victim and I don't have the officers present, but I have the warrant. So there are two different versions of what happened. And that's why your attorney is telling you that you have a right to your day in court so that you can confront your accuser and challenge the accusations brought against you. Do you understand? This is not the time to do it. The reason why you do not qualify for a signature bond is because your criminal record history shows a history of violence and the allegations of the warrant are very egregious. That's why you don't qualify for a signature bond. Thank you. Next, I think we've concluded. Officer Norris?
Yes, that completes the calendar.
All right, thank you. With respect to the attorneys, the calendar position 1 is $1,000 surety bond, and that's reset to January 18th. Position 2 is released. Position 3, Davis, is a $2,000 surety bond reset to January 18th.
Oh yeah, I'm done. That is right.
I'm sorry, Mr. Walker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We know. Okay, time for you to go. Position 4 is released. Position 5, Griffin, is null cross. Position 6, Cassandra Long, is a $1,500 surety bond reset to January 18th. 10, Carrier Matthews is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial. Position 8 is a $3,500 surety bond reset date January 18th. Position 9 is a $25,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 3. Position 10 is a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial with a cosigner. Position 11 is a $5,500 surety bond, reset date January 18th. Position 12 is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial for the notice, and that also requires a co-signer. All right, that concludes our calendar. I will see everyone tomorrow, 2 o'clock, bright and early.
Have a
So-
great weekend,
So
everyone.
don't enjoy your Saturday morning too much. Okay.